welcome to Soul Shift. This is day 29 on Self-Empowerment 30-Day Session. So today we're going to continue with part 2. We're going to go through, yesterday I took you through the first stage of having a transformational shift in your identity and what that entails. Pretty much, just to give a quick rundown, it's about awareness. It's about building your awareness and creating the separation between your beliefs and your behaviors, and just observing them and starting to identify which of these actually are aligned with who you are today and which ones are not. So pretty much that's the first step. I wish I could say that's as quick as you will get through it, but that's not the case. It's going to take a little longer than that. Anyhow, so today I'm going to talk you through what the second stage is. Now, the second stage is about the doing. It's not just enough to know information. It's not just enough to have new ideas. The more important part of knowing information, new information, is now taking action and actually integrating this knowing into your life. Now, how do we do that? Because I'm sure some of you are feeling a little overwhelmed by it all. I'm going to keep it simple, okay? In the actions that we need to do, what that basically means is you have an old identity, which you've now probably in your, and most likely, actually not probably, most likely you would have identified beliefs that really don't serve you and behaviors that are alert behaviors. So you now have an old identity that you've actually paid attention to. And we'll call it the old identity because if you're going through phase 2, that means you are committing to creating a new version, a better version of yourself. And we'll refer to that as the new identity. Now, in my process of the doing, what made it easier was I needed a goal. I needed to understand what I was working towards, not just start meditating and start doing all these exercises. I needed a goal. So what I did is I put down a list of my old identity and my beliefs and behaviors that went with that old identity. And then what I did was I created a list of the person that I am today and the person that I related to, the person that I wanted to be, the person that I knew myself to be underneath all these layers. So I started to write down the list of the new person with the new beliefs and the new behaviors. Once you do that, what that actually does for you, it helps you, give you a guideline to what you're working towards. Okay? Now that you have the awareness of your behaviors and your beliefs, now you're actually going to get actively involved in shifting these. And how does that happen? If we want to have a core shift, if we want to have an identity shift, we need to go to the beliefs. So now with the new beliefs aligned with the new identity, we're going to focus on those new beliefs that will help you to create new patterns. Now what I'm going to do is I can give you a guideline of things that helped me to create this new identity. Of course, I couldn't do the old habits and hope that my new beliefs were enough. No, I actually had to be proactive in making this a conscious choice. How did I do that? I'm gonna give you a list of different things that you can do, and some of these things I've gone through with you in the last 26 days. Some of the exercises are in there, so that will be helpful. Basically, what you're going to start with is you're going to start with meditation. Now, a lot of us get feared by this meditation. It's not a big deal. All we're doing is we're going to just sit with ourselves, focus on our breath, and observe our thoughts. That's all we're going to do. You're just going to learn to quieten yourself on the inside and observe your thoughts. Now, if you've already been doing that in the first step, this should be easy for you. So just stick to your grounding and stick to going into nature, and journaling helps bring out a lot of old stories out. Secondly, you would have to learn how to surrender and how to let go. We need to learn flexibility. We need to learn to expand ourselves. We cannot be rigid. We cannot be in control. We cannot be in fear. If we actually surrender to all the fear and all the control, you're going to raise in energy and vibration and in thought. So guys, really work on surrendering, letting go the fear and the control. That's a really big one that will give you a really big boost if you can focus on that. Then of course you're going to have to learn self-care and self-value. You're going to learn to value yourself. You're going to learn how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your needs. And it's not about being selfish. It's not about being selfish. It's just about saying, hey, I'm important. I matter. So I need to start paying attention to what my needs are. That's as simple as it is. Paying attention to what my needs are. Your body never lies. Your body will always tell you what your needs are. So it's just about connecting to your body, finding out what you need. Then we, of course, forgiveness. Forgiveness is a big one. This will again help you to raise in energy and vibration and in mental space. It will create mental space because you create, when you learn to forgive yourself, you learn to accept that you are where you are today. This is not where you're going to be forever. So it's okay. You're okay to make mistakes. You're okay. They're not mistakes anyway. You're learning. Give yourself permission to learn. So forgiveness is really big, guys. Forgiveness is big, not just to forgive yourself, but learn to forgive others and accept them, that they are on their journey and they're doing the best they can with where they are today. Then we have stop judging. Judging, labels. If you can pay attention to catching yourself, judging somebody else, putting a label on something, just what judging does, it limits us. It just holds a space, it holds energy, and it just weighs you down. And it's going to be a constant trigger, because every time you are unable to forgive yourself or somebody else, that's always going to be under the surface, and every time someone pokes at it, it's going to come out. So guys, really, forgiveness is such a beautiful gift. I really can't emphasize this anymore, but it is a really beautiful gift, and especially when you can just one day sit down, write a letter, and put your forgiveness list together of all the things you forgive yourself for. I mean, this was really huge for me, and this really was a big impact. Then we go to compassion, learning to have compassion for yourself. Firstly, how to be gentle with yourself. A lot of us are very good, some of us, maybe very good at being compassionate and patient and loving and nurturing to our friends and our family. But when it actually comes to having compassion for ourselves, we're not very gentle and we're not very loving. So guys, compassion is something that you need to work on to be able to accept and allow your new identity to have this freedom, this loving connection, just learning to love yourself regardless of what's happening around you or in your world. And I've got to say, emotional mastering, this is something that is very interesting. This is going to be challenging, but it's such an empowering feeling when you can master your own emotions, when you don't need other people to suffer for what is stirring up inside of you. When you can learn to master your emotions, that will give you freedom. It's such a beautiful freedom because you take your power back. The world can not trigger you and poke at you, and you're just constantly on an emotional roller coaster. So emotional mastering is just such a freedom. And lastly, I've got to say, the last one on the list would be unconditional love. If you can learn to just love this world and yourself and everyone in it unconditionally, no one can do you any wrong. When you don't have expectations of others and you learn to just accept who you are, you will accept others as they are, and you will have an unconditional love that just allows you to flow through life. So there we have it. That's day 2. I know that's a lot to absorb, but you can listen to that a few times, and I'll see you tomorrow so we can go through the final step on how to have a transformational shift in your identity.